Yo, 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 what is up, y'all? My name is Robert Donaldson, and welcome back to another edition of Rob's Best Bets. And we are once again talking about the NCAA tournament here in the Sweet 16. Very bittersweet, because with 16 teams remaining, it means that the season is drastically, or rapidly rather, kind of coming to a close. And, you know, obviously this year, it's gone very, very chalk. No Cinderellas are left. All the mid-major teams are done. It's all the high majors left, and, well, I guess the ACC is still alive, but that's basically just Duke anyway, so I'm happy to have them aboard. It's going to be a really great round here, and as you guys can see, you know, 17, 18, and 1 over the NCAA tournament so far, and we've been killing it in the NIT and through the CBI. In terms of the CBI, just started on Sunday. The NIT has been kind of going for a week and a half or so far, and we've been doing well in the NIT. The NCAA tournament has kind of experienced some mixed results. Unfortunately, over the last 2 days in the NCAA tournament, we've had some losses, so that dropped into the red ever so slightly. But, you know, ever since the national tournament started up, we are up money, and I'm pretty happy with that result. Now, with that being said, I think we should do a lot better in the Sweet 16 here, especially now with kind of the element of those Cinderellas or those mid-majors facing off against high majors now sort of out the window. So let's go ahead and jump into these picks. But first, we do need to take a second to shout today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. And if you haven't already signed up using promo code ROBDFB, I highly recommend you guys do so. We're going to be utilizing Underdog's platform a ton during MLB season and also just the rest of the tournament as well. But with all that being said, y'all, I am so jacked to hop into these Sweet 16 bets. All right, first up, we are taking a look at a matchup here between BYU and Alabama. And when you're looking at how these two teams have made it this far, it has been on the backs of their offense. And, you know, notably, what I really liked the last time out from Alabama against St. Mary's was actually how they played really balanced. You know, not only did they attack the rim, shoot their jumpers, and make their shots, but they also rebounded extremely well. They played really great defense, and, you know, maybe part of that can be contributed to St. Mary's kind of shooting themselves out of the game as well. They're not an efficient scoring team, but I really came away impressed with Alabama, and you got to give it up to Nate Oates, because he has made 3 Sweet 16s in 3 seasons, which I get it. He's had talented rosters, but to win 2 games in every NCAA tournament is extremely difficult. And I do think that because of that fact, and also just because Alabama is returning a ton of experience from last year's tournament as well, I am totally willing to lay the 4.5 points here for 4 units for our first bet here in the Sweet 16. For pick number 2, we are taking a look at a matchup here between Maryland and Florida, and Maryland hit that buzzer beater in spectacular fashion against Colorado State in the round of 32, and man, it really felt like they were getting outplayed for 95% of that game. So hats off to Kevin Willard, hats off to Derek Queen, what a shot. But when you are looking at this game against Florida, you know, you're also looking at a team that when they were taking on the 8-seeded UConn, they were getting outplayed for about 37, 38 minutes of that entire game as well. And, you know, they found a way to win. They made some huge shots down the wire. And I really do think that a scare like that, when you are a juggernaut like a Florida can be, I think that's a great wake-up call. And unfortunately, Maryland kind of catches them at the worst possible time in this NCAA tournament. And for that reason, let's go ahead and lay it with Florida for 4 units for our second bet here in the Sweet 16. For pick number 3, we are taking a look at a matchup here between Arizona and Duke. And when you're looking at this game and just the storylines coming out of this game, obviously Caleb Love, the star of Arizona, played at North Carolina for multiple seasons. He hit some major shots against this Duke bunch as well. And, you know, Duke is coming in playing extremely well. You know, we were on Baylor last time out against them with that boatload of points, and Duke made that just a no-doubt winner, a no-doubt cover. and they are playing some really great basketball. But at the same time, when that does happen, when you are playing that well, similarly to Florida taking on a team like a UConn last round, sometimes you are going to be laying some inflated lines, and, from a betting standpoint, the value is probably going to be on the other team just inherently. And in this scenario against Arizona, do I think that Arizona wins this game? I do not. I'm going to stay away from the money line. I don't want any stake in that. I think Duke is on a collision course to make a Final Four or make an Elite Eight. And when you're looking at this game and you're seeing 9.5 points for Arizona, from the betting side of things, I think there's a ton of value in taking 3 possessions and a hook. So let's go ahead and take the 9.5 points here with Arizona for 4 units for our third bet here in the Sweet 16. For pick number 4, we are taking a look at a matchup here between Arkansas and Texas Tech. And man, oh man, Arkansas, the other Cinderella High major this year. And when you're looking at John Calipari, man, massive hat tip. Not only did he take out Bill Self in round 1, he also turned around and took out Rick Pitino's team in round 2. There's not much else you can say other than one of the best head coaching jobs in all of Division I hoops this season. Now, I do think they're taking on a different animal in Texas Tech, because Texas Tech is going to be the deepest team they've played so far. They're also the most offensive, kind of balanced team that they'll play. They have a great defense on the other side, and even without Chance McMillan, I think that Texas Tech is going to find a way to get this done and get this done convincingly. So let's go ahead and lay the 5.5 points here with the Red Raiders for 2 units for our fourth bet here in the Sweet 16. For pick number 5, we are taking a look at that really fun game between Ole Miss and Michigan State. A really fantastic head coaching battle in this game between Tom Izzo and Chris Beard. And Chris Beard, I mean, he coached circles around TJ Otzelberger last time out, and that can't be overstated because Otzelberger is one of the best head coaches in Division I hoops this season, but his team didn't have any semblance or any response to what Ole Miss was throwing at them from really just the first 5 minutes of the game and then throughout. And when you're looking at this matchup here, I don't think that Michigan State has been playing the best basketball over the past 2 games. Sure, that Bryant score kind of looks like a blowout, but that was a competitive game for about 32 minutes of game action, and then it kind of ballooned up near the end. And even last time out against New Mexico and Richard Pitino, it didn't really look like Izzo and his team brought their A game, and that does worry me about them just winning outright. But hey, they're laying 3.5 points. That feels like a pretty sizable number when you're talking about a possession and a hook. And for that reason, let's go ahead and take Ole Miss getting the 3.5 points here for 2 units for our fifth bet here in the Sweet 16. For pick number 6, we are taking a look at a matchup here between Kentucky and Tennessee. And this is obviously an SEC on SEC battle. And when you're looking at Tennessee, they've looked really, really impressive through the first 2 games. They dominated Wofford, they dominated UCLA, but Kentucky on the other side also dominated a team like a Troy, and then they turned around and dominated Illinois last time out as well. That game was really never close from the halftime period and on. And when you're looking at this matchup here, I do feel like Tennessee has the upper hand in terms of just the projected play style, the projected tempo of this game. I also think from a talent standpoint, this Tennessee team looks absolutely awesome. And they're laying a short number here because I think the Kentucky brand is playing a factor. I also think that the Kentucky results over the past 2 rounds are factoring into this line as well. And for that reason, I really like this buy spot on Tennessee. So let's go ahead and lay the 4 points here for 2 units for our 6th bet here in the Sweet 16. All right, next up, we are taking a look at that game between Michigan and Auburn. And Michigan has kind of been a surprise because they really dodged a bullet against UC San Diego in round 1. And then against Texas A&M, they were in a spot where they were dead to rights. It kind of felt like they were down double digits in the second half. It felt like Texas A&M was humming, and then everything just fell apart for Buzz Williams and his team. And I have to give a lot of credit to Dusty May and that bunch, because man, oh man, did they kind of show a lot of resilience, the same resilience that they've been showing all season long. Now, I do feel like that eventually will come to an end. And in this game against Auburn, you guys know, I'm not a big believer in this Auburn team, but I think in terms of the matchup, in terms of how Michigan has kind of been, surviving by the skin of their teeth, eventually that does have to run out, and I do think it runs out in this game here. So let's go ahead and lay the 8 points here with the Auburn Tigers for 2 units for our 7th bet here in the Sweet 16. All right, for our final bet here in the Sweet 16, we are taking a look at that matchup between Purdue and Houston. And Houston is actually laying a sizable number in this game, and I think there's a lot of contributing factors to that. Now, Houston just played what essentially amounts to an Elite Eight or a Final Four style of ball game, because the 8-seeded Gonzaga Bulldogs were not a true 8-seed. They were 100% a lot better than that, and unfortunately, Houston drew them right out the gate in the round of 32, and I do think that Houston winning that game serves as a huge momentum boost, serves as a huge confidence boost as well, because they showed that they can compete against some of the best teams in this entire field, and now they're taking on a Purdue team that, through the first 2 rounds, really kind of size bullied High Point, and then size bullied McNeese State. On the glass, they dominated and really could just do whatever they wanted, because when you're getting rebounds like that, you're going to have a ton of kick-out threes, and against a team like a Houston, those opportunities are going to be a lot lesser, and I do think that ends up being the story of this game, and I do think that Houston ends up winning this thing by double digits and kind of a snoozer. So let's go ahead and lay the 7.5 points here with the Houston Cougars for 3 units for our final bet here in the Sweet 16. All that being said, I really want to thank you guys for checking out today's video, and man, we have a massive week here in front of us. Not only do we have the Sweet 16 on Thursday and on Friday, and then followed up by the Elite 8, but we also have MLB opening day, and we're going to have daily Major League Baseball videos as well. I am so excited for that season to tip off, and if you guys want to follow everything, as well as, our NIT bets, or our CBI bets, or even the Crown Invitational once that tips off, make sure you are following me over on Twitter/X at RobDFB, so you don't miss any of those plays either. But with all that being said, y'all, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.